Guys, how's it going? I hope you're doing well tonight. I am doing well. We're coming at you with the second stream, the second part that is, on our tutorial of how to code Pong. Just let me set up and make sure everything is good with the stream for one moment, and then we will get started. Ding ding. Okay, looks like we're good. We are live. Awesome. So, I think that we're getting a decent frame rate too. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get into the code then. Let me go ahead and switch over to my screen over here. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, going over here. Hopefully you can see our code. This is what we have from our last time that we were here and connected. Let me just go ahead and play for you. This is what we had. We had the little Pong cube bouncing around, and we just worked on the different collision methods for it, and we worked to make sure that it, everything worked with its collision, the different directions and everything like that. We added code to have multiple Pong. We added code to have multiple Pong little ping pong balls if we wanted to. So if we add more of them, that's what it looks like. And that works pretty well. So now what we're going to work on doing tonight is adding a player and starting to get the collisions for that. Let me just check. Yeah, looks like we're good so far. We'll go ahead and work on that then. Sorry, I was just checking something on the stream. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into it. I do want to say that there is something that I added in the Visual Studio Code project for our Pong game here, which is that in Visual Studio Code, you can actually make it where you can run and compile the game by going to the Run and Debug menu over here if you set up some scripts that it needs. So basically what I did was I took our build script that we had last time, and I added it to where we can just click Build and Run now, and it'll build and run the game in Visual Studio Code and display it for us. So I've added that. I will be using that in this video to run the code because it is a little bit nicer, a little bit neater to do it that way. So yeah, that's just a little something there. Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the code. I'm going to try to keep the code very simple here. So we will go ahead and go back to just one Pong instead of multiple Pongs. I think that that would be the best thing for this code right now, because I think that we should strive to keep simple code in everything. So I'm going to go ahead and revert some of the changes that we made here to allow for multiple Pong balls. So let me go ahead and fix that. I'm going to go ahead and just say that we only want to have our singular Pong. So let me go up here and do this. I will uncomment this. Okay, that's uncommented. Then we will go ahead and fix this. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. There you go. That'll be removed. Instead, let's go ahead and make an init function that will just be able to set up our game loop for us. So we can call this if we need to reset the Pong puck instead. So I'm going to say function init. And then what I'm going to say is, instead of doing this thing where we added a Pong like this, I'm just going to take our same setup that we had from here and copy that down there. So we will want our local Pong set up like this so that we can use it below. But then in here, we're going to reset it. So I'm going to just say reset set Pong. And I'll say Pong equals another Lua object there. And we'll just reset everything from scratch on init. and then we'll call this init function immediately underneath it, so it just gets called right when the game starts to reset everything. I'm going to get rid of this because we won't be adding multiple Pong balls instead anymore. We'll just have the one. And then let me go ahead and take this out for now. There we go. And then we don't need to go through the whole Pong's length anymore. Instead, we'll just do the one with our Pong there. And also, it makes more sense to me to go ahead and draw the Pong outside of this function, just in the update, to keep things simple. Maybe we can make a draw function for everything later, but I'm just going to keep this simple like that for now. And we'll go ahead and save that. And then let me go ahead and do a run and see if that compiles, and it looks good. No errors, and it does look like that starts correctly, and everything is working good. Let me point out a neat feature of this ability to use it in Visual Studio Code. If I did something to deliberately cause an error, like maybe misspell this library name, and then save that, and then if I was to try to compile it, we should see the error inside of here now when we're building it. See, it said it right there, an error. So we can see those errors inside of our little terminal section here now, building it through Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And let me just close this for now. And then we'll see. So we just got our Pong. I do want to fix and clean up a few things in this code as well before we continue. Let me just check, see how it's going. Looks all right. I was just checking the stream stats real quick. Looks like we're doing okay on our stream quality, so that should be good. So anyway, yeah, let's get back to it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and set up our Pong player to move a similar way. But before we get to the player object, let's go ahead and clean this up a little. I am going to change this name here. I don't like the Pong L variable name. Instead, I want to change this to just be, well, we use the Pong name here, so that doesn't work very well. I want to just not take a variable, perhaps. We'll just use the function itself and just call it Pong. That way it'll just be passed through into that. So I'll say that we'll just go ahead and get rid of this Pong. Oops. Pong L. I want to change this name to just be Pong. So let's go ahead and select all those and just get rid of that. So it's just Pong now. So that's good. We'll take this out of here. Then there's another thing that I wanted to do, which was, I don't like that we used position X and position Y. I just want to call them X and Y so it's a little bit less confusing. So let me go ahead and find everywhere where we used position. And I'll just say, let me see here. Yep. Everywhere it's dot position. I'm just going to say dot X. And then where it's the same thing for the Y, let's select everywhere and just call that dot Y. There we go. That makes it a little cleaner in my opinion. Do we use any of that here? No, we didn't. In our Lewis script, it looks fine and simple there. So that should be good there. Let me just save that real quick and let's run it again and see if it still builds all right. Yeah, that looks fine to me. Seems all good there. It's fun to just watch it for a second, you know? All right. That looks good. Let me just check something over here. Yeah, okay, cool. We're going to keep going then. Sorry about that. Here goes nothing. And you all will have to forgive me if I cough or take a sip of water during the stream because I'm getting over a cold. getting over a cold, excuse me. So anyway, next, let's go ahead and do something. Let's set the starting position. You'll notice that when we set our starting position at 0, if you remember from last time, we have our unit circle and 0 degrees radian, or 0 radian is going to the right. It's supposed to be going straight to the right. And you'll notice that when we look at our ping pong ball here, it just goes at the very beginning down. It is not going to the right. And the problem with that is, let me see here. The problem with that is because we have our force directions set here, and it doesn't like the fact that we are checking this every single frame, and then also changing the thing every single frame. It would be better if we only changed the direction when we actually had a collision with the wall. So that way we can actually have some different angles besides just the 45-degree angles that need to happen when it hits the wall, like, straight left or right. So to fix that, what we're going to have to do is just add an if statement to tell if we actually had a collision in the first place, and only check these things if we had a collision. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, local, I'm going to say, did hit, I guess we'll say. And we'll say that's just going to equal, if it's greater than our width, we're basically just going to copy every single one of these and just put an or between them. That way we'll know if it hit any wall at all. So let me do that. Did hit if x is greater than screen width, or x is less than 0, or y is greater than screen height, or y is less than 0. Then it'll equal that, and then we'll go ahead and then write a big old if statement that just says if did hit, then we will do everything else, but not until that. So let me go ahead and get rid of those and come all the way down here and only do these if we did hit. Let me go ahead and fix the tab there. There we go. So that should work. Let's go ahead and run it and see. So yeah, now it's going straight, and then it should do a did hit, and then yep, bounce off every time it does that, based on if it did hit it or not. And let me get that terminal for the Playdate up still, which is right here, the console, not terminal, excuse me. So now it should work, and we can start off again. If we start that again, just so we can see that, it should show us, yeah, it starts off going straight. Though it does seem very low. I guess I didn't do half and half. I just did 200 and 200. Let's go ahead and start at a half and half. So if you remember, it is, what are our x? Our x is 400, the max. So that'd be 200 and then 240. So let's go ahead and let's do this. So let's start at 100. And then what was that? It was 240, so that'd be 120. Let's save that, and then let's see if it starts in the middle now, going the right direction. Yeah, I thought it looked like it was in the middle, although yeah, that looks good to me. Wait, no, excuse me. That's supposed to be 200, not 100. Let's fix that and then redo it. Yep, that looks better. Cool. Starts in the middle now. Okay, cool. That looks good. Let me go ahead and keep scrolling back up here. We'll come back and we'll fix some more things. We've pretty much simplified all of that code now. What we just need to do is go ahead and actually, instead of this, we could just do these divided by 2. So maybe that's the best thing to do there. And we can also do screen height divided by 2. So let's go ahead and fix that. There we go. And then, yeah, let's save that and try that just to make sure. Yep, that looks good. Cool. Awesome. So let's go ahead and let me just check on the stream settings. Okay, that's looking good so far. So yeah. Cool. Let's keep moving then, and let's go straight into the rest of it. So, what we want to do now is add the player. So let's go ahead and copy this and make one for player. And I'll start with the player on the left hand of the screen, not the AI. So we'll have a player. And what do we need for the player? Well, what we really need is, let's just say player.x position. Let's just say 0. Player.y position. Let's say the same thing for now. Then let's go ahead and say a speed maybe. And let's say, yeah, let's just stop with those for now. We'll say speed is 1. We'll just do x, y, and 1. Okay. And now let's see here. Let's just go ahead and do another fill rect for the player. I'll say Pong ball. And then I'll say player. Let's go ahead and paste that. And it's going to be player X, player Y. And then instead of doing just 10 and 10, let's make him, a little bigger because the Pong paddle itself is, taller. So let's go ahead and say like maybe his height is 30 perhaps. So, 3 times as long as the ping pong ball. Let's go ahead and, and render that and compile that and see what it looks like. Oh, that looks pretty good. We don't have any movement yet, but it looks good. Let's work on adding some movement. So let's go back here. Wonder if I can just do this. Oh, I can shrink it into nothingness. Okay, whatever. I'll just exit it. Excuse me. So back to what we were doing. We need to go ahead and add some controls. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the if statement controls because it's very simple to do what I want with that. So let's do if play date dot button is pressed. Let's do up, then we'll go ahead and say, what do we want to do? We want to say player.y. And since going up is going down on numbers in the y-axis, we're going to have to say minus equals 1. And then let's do the same thing, but let's do for the down button. Then we'll say it's going to be plus equal 1, so it goes up. Let's save that, and let's compile it. Let's see if it works. Down, we go down. Up, we go up. That looks good, except we don't really, actually go up or down. And we don't actually bounce it off of us. It just kind of fades through us. So let's go back and work on that a little bit more. So another thing we can do is we can actually multiply it times our speed. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can control it with our speed. So right now it's 1, but if we make it like 5, you'll notice a real difference. So let's try that. Oh yeah, much faster now. I think that maybe 2, let's try 2 and see how that goes. That'll hopefully be fine on our speed there. Yeah, that seems good to me. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add another, let's go ahead and add the collision. That would be the next thing that we really need to add. So to calculate the collision, we're going to want to make a new function down at the bottom. Let me go here, scroll down, and we'll call it function, and it will be just, excuse me, I was looking at my notes there. We'll call it just is touching player, maybe. These function names aren't really the greatest, but let's go ahead and call it that. Is touching player. Okay, so if it is touching player, how do we tell that? Well, let's go ahead and make a is touching. We'll just go ahead and return a Boolean check that can be used in an if statement. So we'll say return, and then it's going to be very simple to check if it is touching the player. You just basically check if the players. Let me see if I can get the game back up here for a second. If the player is, his cube is overlapping the Pong cube at all, we'll know that they are touching. So I'm just going to do a very easy, simple type of collision check to test if the player has any overlap with the cube. So how you can do that is just check the X and Y positions of one of them. So like if the X and Y position of the cube is greater than the X and Y position. Well, excuse me. Maybe if I code it, it'll be simpler to understand. So let me go ahead and just say that we're going to need to grab the player width and the Pong width and height, because it'll be easier to check them if we save those two things, since they can change. So I'm going to go ahead and say that player, we'll say width equals 10, because it's 10 right there. And then we'll say that the player height is going to be 30. Player height is going to be 30. And I'm going to go ahead and copy those and put them down here in it for the Pong 2. We'll go ahead and just put those down here. We'll say Pong width and Pong height, and we'll just say 10 on each of those. Cool. Oh, oops. See, I typed it with the capital H. Let me fix that here too. There we go. Okay, cool. So now they both have a width and a height. So let me just go ahead and go down to our is touching. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if the players, or excuse me, let's do the Pong. Let's say that the Pong is the ball. So if the Pong's X position is greater than or equal to the player's X position. So basically, that's going to give us, if you remember, it draws the player. His position is technically the top left corner of his, the player's cube. So it's going to be checking here. So it's going to say if the top left corner of this, that's his position too, and then it draws the cube based on that, wherever his top left position is. But anyway, so it's going to say if our top left position there of our Pong is greater than our X, so if it's greater this way than our left corner there of that cube, that's what it's going to check first. We're going to say, and if the Pong dot X is less than or equal to the player's X plus the player's width. And what that will do is it'll grab this to grab the right-hand corner cube of the player. So it'll say if, basically we're telling it to check if the Pong ball is greater than this one, but less than this one. So if it's in between the X right there, we're going to say that that's true. But then we also need to check for the Y. So we're going to say, and if, what are we going to say? And if Pong dot Y is greater than or equal to player dot Y. So again, that's going to be the same thing. If it's our player dot Y is very left corner, and if it's greater than it, it just means that it's going to not be below over here. It's going to be down in this region down here. So if it's greater than the player's Y, and if it is less than or equal to the player's Y, player dot Y, plus the player dot height. Then we will know that we are inside of the cube. So again, that's checking the same thing. It's basically just saying if it's greater than the minimum but less than the maximum in this range, we'll know that it hit it. So you just check that on the X and check that on the Y, and we'll know if it's there. So let me go ahead and save this, and then what I'm going to do is copy this function. And let's go ahead and just do a quick test of it. I'm going to come down here, and let's just do a print, and then I'll just say is touching, and then let's go ahead and save that and rebuild. And then let me bring this up, and let me bring this up. And we'll see when it rebuilds. Oh, there's an error, it said. I saw it said there was an error. Let's see what it is. It's going to show me. It says unexpected symbol near this on line 78. Let's check that out. What did I do wrong? Let me see here. What did I do wrong? Return Pong X and Pong X plus width and Pong Y and Pong Y plus height. It said unexpected near this. Let me see. There's only 2 of those. What did I do wrong here? Let me grab a sip of water real quick. Okay, let's see here. Player, Pong. Let me see here. What I like to do sometimes if I can't figure it out at first is to comment out half of it and see if it runs after that, and then isolate the problem like that. So let's do this. Now let's see if it still gives me the error. No, works that time. So there's something in the back half of it that's causing the error. Good to know. So it doesn't like something over here. Let me see. So it said this part was fine before, but it said there was an error near that. So near this. What have I done wrong? Oh, I see. I didn't say Pong here for some reason. I meant to say Pong.y. Duh. So maybe it would be more clear if I format it like this. Perhaps it would be a little bit more clear if I do this. So yeah, if Pong.x is greater, basically we're drawing the x boundary here. We're saying if the x is in bounds, if it's greater than the minimum x and it's less than the maximum x. And same thing with this here. If it's greater than the minimum y and it is less than the maximum y, then you'll be able to, tell if we're touching the player. So let's go ahead and save that and recompile it. And it looks like no errors there, so that's good. Let me open up this. Let me open up this. So this is on our console over here, is telling us if it's touching. Let me go ahead and make sure we line up and hit it. And bam, you can see we did have a true over there. It was a little fast that it went by, but we did have a true. Let me make this a little easier to see maybe. Let me move this to being checked inside of the collision check right here. Let's just put this inside of the did hit that we set up earlier and see if that does better. I think we can run it from here too. Let me compile that. So here we go. Let's see. Yeah, well, that's bizarre. Well, forget that. It printed it the first time. What we need to do now is check if in our collision here, when it say did hit, we need to also include our function actually that we just created for checking if the player is touching. So let me go ahead and copy this, his touching player. I'm going to paste it on the back of this and say and is touching, or excuse me, or is touching player. So now it'll do the did hit if we are doing is touching player as well. And then what we want to finally say is that, let me just look at my notes for a second. We want to say that if we are touching the player, we want to flip the X direction of the Pong, not necessarily the Y direction, because the player is like another wall, sort of. So let's go ahead and just do that perhaps down here maybe would be good. So we'll say if is touching player, then we'll say then we'll say Pong dot X dir multiply equals, because we want to be able to just flip it by whatever direction it is, -1. So let's save that and let's see if it worked. I'm going to go ahead and run that and we'll see. Let me go ahead and come down here. No errors, so that's good. We'll see that if we're making it or not. Let's see. Oh, there it is. That looks good. Okay, what I want to try is let's also make the player's X position be 10 so it's not touching the wall. Let's do that. We'll compile it again. Yeah, so now we're away from the wall. There's a gap. We'll really be able to tell if we're, bouncing the cube off of it or if it's something else. Yep, there we go. Oh, that looks pretty good. Let's try it again. Oh, we can still move out of bounds. We'll have to fix that next. But, yep, that looks good. So, it looks good. Unfortunately, we can move out of bounds. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and fix that real fast. So, let me go ahead and close this. And we will say that if the player movement here, yeah, we'll fix it right here inside of this update. We'll say they're allowed to move up if the player is pressing up and player dot Y position is greater than 0, because moving up makes it go in the negative direction. So if it's greater than 0, we'll still be able to move up. And when we're moving down, we'll say if the player dot Y position is less than whatever our maximum is, which is, I'm just going to say 240, because I think that does it. No. We have to do say the player height. So let me see here. Well, yeah, we have to account for the player height too, but let's just test it and see what that looks like. I don't think that's going to work on the top. I think the bottom limit will work, but not the top. So let's see. Well, actually, it's reverse, so reverse what I just said. So we are here, we're pressing up. Nothing's happening, but I bet if we come down here, yeah, we'll still be able to move down because we didn't account for the height of the player. I think it's stopping it right on the top corner there, as you can see. Okay, so to do that, we just need to say if player.y plus player.height is less than 240, we're allowed to move. So let's go ahead and play that and see what that looks like. Okay, so now we come up here, we go up. Can't go up any more than that. We go down, and let's see. Yes, we can't go down any more than that. So now our player collision is working with the walls, so that is good. And we also are completely fine working with the cube. So that is a lot of progress so far that we've made tonight. And now I think that is going to be where I leave it for tonight, because unfortunately I am still recovering from what we think is COVID. So I'm still not feeling 100%. So I will end the stream here for tonight. But thank you guys for watching, and please join me next time as we continue to flesh out this game more and more.